Hi, everybody. I think we are live now. We had a little bit of trouble setting up, but here we are, and it's me, Stefanie Nietzsche, and I am here with Long Island author Alisa Klinger.
Hello,
Hi,
everyone. Hi, thanks,
Alisa.
Stephanie, for having me.
Oh, thanks so much for
I'm very
joining.
excited.
How's it going today?
Going well. It's a beautiful day here in Long Island. I love that autumn weather, the crisp, wind and the breeze from the Atlantic. It's wonderful. Who can, you can't get any better than autumn in Long Island.
Me too. I totally agree. Fall, autumn, whatever we call it, it is my favorite month. Is it your favorite month too, or no?
I find it, it's that and summer are my favorite seasons. I love summer, and I love, because I love that freedom feeling in the water. And, as a child, you always love that summer, and as an adult, it kind of weans, and then you go to autumn. Kids usually don't like autumn because you're back at school. So I never really liked autumn when I was a child, but I do like it now.
I do remember in school when fall was approaching or autumn was approaching, we had to look for leaves. And it's funny because that we talk about school, because give us a little bit of history about you for those that are watching or will be watching that don't know.
I was a school teacher first, and then I went on to teaching the talented and gifted in the New York City school systems, where I taught teachers, faculty, and students not only how to teach the gifted and to facilitate the gifted learner, but also implemented curriculum and did a lot of writing workshops. And then I moved towards becoming raising my family. And after I raised my family, I got involved with real estate. And I always had a passion for writing and telling stories. I used to tell my kids lots and lots of stories, bedtime stories, and lots of tales. And I wrote several children's books from there that were a lot of fun. And then it was a point where I decided it was time to tell, more adult stories, more, fictional kinds of books. So I moved on to that, and I just finished my first book, The Perfect Move, and it's a mystery thriller. It's funny, I was trying to think about what can I compare it to, and I always compare it to like Agatha Christie, like, because there's a young woman in it, a mom who goes to this community and becomes like almost like a detective. She has to figure out what happened, the mystery in her community. But I just recently started watching. I don't know if you're watching it, Stephanie. I started watching. It's on Hulu. It's called Only Murders in the Building. Have you watched that yet?
Oh no, it's Selena Gomez.
Yes, Selena
Martin
Gomez.
Short, and I just don't want to forget the other guy's name because
Steve Martin Short, and then Selena Gomez.
Yes.
Right? It is so funny, it is so cute, but it's not even, it's such a good mystery. It's like a cozy mystery, and it's the three of them. So it's the young girl, Selena Gomez, and these two old men. So my book is just like that, except minus one old man. So it's this young woman, and she gets involved with her neighbor, who's this old, lovely man who a lot of the readers find to love, and they team up together, and they're solving a mystery in their community. And it's just like that, in a murder, only murders in the building. And in this case, it's only the murder in this exclusive gated community. And instead of it being New York, it's on Long Island. So I think I captured, if anyone was interested in knowing the kind of book it is, it's just like, that kind of a feel of that kind of read, a fun, every chapter leads to the next, clue in the mystery. And I think it's very enjoyable read. So I think I found the right description for it.
Yeah, well, I find it funny that your book deals with the same characters, someone a little younger, right?
Yes.
Someone a little older. I don't want to talk too much about it and give too much away. But let's back up a little bit, because I totally forgot that you started writing, children's books.
Yes.
I forget that because I always connect you with The Perfect Move, and I forget that you wrote children's books. So did you write under Alisa Klinger?
I wrote under Alisa Klinger, and then also I also wrote with my children, and they were authors and illustrators of the books as well. So some of the books, one was called Cicada from Granada, and it was about the love of reading. And so they wrote a story and they created it in a rhyming form about the cicada from Granada who lost his Hakuna Matata and wanted to find it. And throughout the book, it's an illustrated book that my youngest son illustrated, my oldest son wrote with, and it was also illustrated with my girlfriend's son as well, who illustrated it. And throughout the book, this cicada is trying to find his happy place. And in the end, it's reading a book. And it's very cute. So I've always enjoyed doing that kind of thing. And I was on the table of Scholastic. Scholastic had, showed interest in me. And that kind of didn't work out. So what I started to realize, it kind of postured me towards becoming self-published. And I felt like with self-publishing, you really have a lot more control over your intellectual property. And I gravitated toward that. And I recommend that. I feel that it's your baby. You must feel that way too.
I do.
That book is your baby, and you want it to show it to the world, but you want to show it to the world the way you plan on showing it. And so I was thrilled to, and that's why it's funny. It's my Instagram page is Follow My Writing Journey, and basically I take you through my writing journey from my book being from blank page all the way to the published page. And it was my journey figuring that out, figuring out that, being traditionally published wasn't going to work for me, and that I wanted to have the control. And we can go into more aspects of that, of, what kind of control do you have when you self-publish your book? We're indie authors now, like indie, movies. And I think what's happening is that we're able to get out there. We're able to get to you, the readers, and you're able to get to our books. And it's much easier than you ever had before through Amazon and Ingram Spark and all Apple and the Nook and all of these, Barnes and Noble, and all of these places. Now you have access to get to our books. So it's much better. Go ahead.
I just want to add this though too. When you're independently published as opposed to traditionally published, so when you write your story, sometimes you have a certain way you want your story to go, and the way you want it to be perceived and understood, and how you want your characters to be perceived. But if you do go traditionally published, sometimes they change your story.
Oh yes, they can
and not
change.
all writers like that.
You're so correct, Stephanie. They can change every aspect about your book. Once you sign with them, you really lose your rights. And so
and all your creative control, I imagine, because if they want to put a cover, if they want your book to have a cover of, I don't know, let's see, I don't know, like a big fancy house, but you want your cover to be something totally different, maybe someone's face or, just something different. Yeah. I don't think you have much of a say if you go traditional.
It depends on the relationship you have with I don't want to say all traditional, publishing companies, may not work with you. Maybe there are some, and maybe it's the relationship you have with that. But I would say, as a rule of thumb, I do believe that you do lose a lot of your creative and intellectual property in that regard, and as well as also how you get it out there. I mean, especially as a first-time author, who is trying to get a following, trying to get a readership. The publishing houses, how much money are they going to spend on you? Because are they going to get that in return? So how much of your book is going to be printed? Because they also print it. And so it's a whole different ballgame. Again, as I said, I was very pleased to be able to have the ability now with this whole ability for indie authors to get their book out to the readers and get to talk with the readers and get to see their reaction. And I just enjoy it so much. So that to me, I'm thrilled with the way that I decided to go with it.
And when you're self-published, it really is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week endeavor.
Yeah, and I think so. Yeah, but I have to say,
keep up with it. But a lot of, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm interrupting. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
I think that I find that even with traditionally published, we're on, and we met each other on Instagram, and I'm on Instagram, and there are traditional published authors they're on their 5th book, their 9th book. I mean, Harlan Coben is on, and he has to also, he does a lot of book talks, and he has to get onto the internet. And I think that it's for even the ones that are older and more established, James Patterson, you see them, they're on. They have to meet, because guess where we are, the readers, guess where we are? We're on Instagram. We're bookstagrammers all the way, on Facebook as well. And, you know, if you want us to see your book and get to know it, I mean, they have these things called book tours. And a lot of the Instagrammers get the book for free. It's called an ARC, and they get to read it. And then it's their responsibility to post it on publishing day. It's their responsibility to review it. So it's interesting. It's like that now, these traditional, you know, companies, you know, publishing houses, they're trying to get into the Instagram, because they realize this is where your readers are. Yes, they are in Barnes and Noble stores. They are in, you know, the New York Times bestseller list. I'm sure people are looking there as well. But I know, I can't tell you how many books I started reading because I'm part of book clubs in Instagram. I mean, I read books that I never would have read before, that I love, that I never would have tapped into genres.
It's such great exposure. Yeah.
It's just an amazing thing what technology has afforded us, and I'm jumping on it, and I'm pleased with it. And so you know, I think it's great. So I think that if you decide that you want to go the independent way, the indie way, I think there's a lot of opportunities. I think it keeps your creative juices flowing, and I think that you know, you get to hold on to what's, you know, rightfully yours. But if you want to do traditionally and try your hand in that, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Just there's some pitfalls to it that you should know about ahead of time. That's all.
Yeah, I think there's pitfalls in everything. So I guess whatever you're more comfortable with. I've also read that a lot of authors that are traditionally published are also self-publishing.
Oh,
because
yes.
you get, you know, you keep more of your royalties that way.
Oh, exactly. And I think
It's
a lot
more
of
work.
people have decided they want to try something different, like a different genre that may not be the genre we know them about. So they can do a different, it's so many things you can do. The possibilities are endless. So, right, so you can write under a different name. You don't have to, you know, bother your publisher. You're probably rather not, and you can see what happens with it. You are correct. I have seen where they're both ways.
Yeah, it's amazing. And sometimes with traditionally published authors, their team or their people do not want to go with maybe the book or the genre. Like you said, they want to change genres. They don't want to go with that book that the author feels pretty strongly about, but they took the time to write. So maybe also too with that, they branch off and they say, you know what, I'm going to self-publish this. I'm going to use a different name. But writing is just when you do it, it's so fun. It's so fascinating. It's amazing. You learn so many things, and it's like a process that you never learn, you know, like you keep on, there's no limits to what you learn, especially in a business sometimes that is constantly changing with certain things.
Yes, but it's funny because that's why a lot of times you feel like, oh, I wish I knew that with my first book, or I wish I knew that beforehand.
Yes.
The thing is, it's a learning process. You weren't ready to know that, so you couldn't know that before. And so it's just like you said, you just continue growing and enjoying and getting better and better. And that's, you know, that's why I look forward to reading, you know, even your second, I know you're working on your third book, because I love the first one. And so I can only imagine what the second and the third one is going to be like. It can only be even better. So
well, the second one I feel is a good connection to the first book because it is a follow-up. But if someone for some reason didn't read the first book and picked up the second book, I think they can, you know, get an idea. Like, in other words, you don't have to read the first book to read the second book, but it's always a good idea if there is a first book to read that one.
I agree. I think it's good to be right. It could be a series, but if you could, your book could be picked up in the second book without a problem knowing about the first. That's great.
And then if you read the second book and you like it, you can pick up the first, because then it would be like a prequel, I guess. Like the Torah, who's the main character, her before story, right?
Right.
So now tell me again, because I think you did say it when we first started chatting this morning, what prompted the transition from children's books to your adult book?
I had a story in mind. You know what they always say, if you have a story to tell that hasn't been told, tell it. And there was always this thing that bugged me. I had lived in a community where a situation happened, and it was always very mysterious. Somebody had passed away and we never knew why. And my writing mind just kept going and going, and I always kept on going back to it, and I would add to the story. Oh, maybe this happened, and maybe that happened. And so I used to play with it a lot, and then I would build on it. And we live, we live in Long Island, and we live in
Alisa,
a
I
place
just want to tell you, while I can hear you, you are a little garbled and you froze.
I
Okay, there
am.
you go. You're back. You're
Oh, I'm
back.
back. Okay. Okay. So what I was trying to say is that in Long Island, we live in a place where there's these spectacular old 1920 mansions along the Gold Coast, along the coast, where the Long Island Sound is. And where I lived, where this mystery had happened, where this death had happened, there is a Ohika Castle, and I was always fascinated by it. And I was like, wow, what would have happened had we lived right by there? And I started just constantly thinking of different scenarios. And I said, wow, I would love to create a book where a mystery took place.
So there really was a death, though? There was really a death?
Yeah, there was someone passed away, yeah, in the community. We just never knew why. And no
Oh,
one
see,
ever
that's
told us
something I
why.
did not know. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Okay.
we never knew. And so it was always very like, oh my goodness, and it just, and there's something that happens close by, you always, start thinking. Just like in this, when you watch the, other Only Murders in the Building, somebody dies and they think it was a suicide in the building. It's called the Arconia. It's in Manhattan. There's really no houses, so it's an apartment building. And the two, Steve Martin and Martin Short decide it's suspicious. They get suspicious about it, and they start, investigating. And then, of course, they say it was Selena Gomez. And it was the same thing with me with this one. But I really didn't investigate much. I had my little one was just born. I think he was only about 2 months old, and so I was wrapped in that. But it always stuck with me. So it was like, if I could have done it then I would have done it, But since I couldn't do it in real life, I did it in fiction. Like, what could have happened to this person? And so that's basically how it went. And then I always dabbled with it. But then, of course, life happens. And as all of you writers realize that, right? You have a beautiful manuscript on your desk that you want to finish, but, you have work, and you have your children, and you have your parents, and you have a lot of things you just want to, you have to take care of. And so it was always on the back burner, but always in my mind, And so with COVID, I was really able to, we were at home, and I was able to really fine tune it and tweak it and finally get it to the end. And so I was able to get it done. And that was my journey. And then the other journey started with, well, now that I want to get it out there, how am I going to do it? And then that was my next journey, getting it.
Let me just ask you this, though. Did you start writing the book prior to COVID?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And then, okay,
yes.
so you start. So how long, all in all, did
that
it
would
take
be
you from beginning? How long did it take you to actually create the first draft? Let's start with that.
I would say that once I got started, it was like about 18 months. But the death happened probably when my son now is 20, 25. So, initially it happened when he was a baby, that this idea that it always was in my, a seed that was planted in my mind. That was about 25 years ago that stuck with me. And then we would always, it was funny with my mom, we would talk about it. What do you think happened? And then we would talk about the castle. Oh, well, maybe, the castle will be on top of the hill. And then what about this character? And then how are we going to, and it was just, and we would play with it like a puzzle, and it would always be something that would, we would bring up. And then, I would loosely draft something, and then keep it on the back burner. But it wasn't until, much later, when the kids were already in college and graduated, and I knew they were taken care of, that I was able to really start to, fine tune it and bring it to where, it could get to be published.
Right. I think that happens with a lot of us authors that are moms. Once we raise our children when they're old enough, and then we can actually, focus and put ourselves into the story that we want to write, and we actually can. So I think that's when a lot of us publish. But you, hands down, I mean, I love your cover, and that because I brag about it on Instagram. And it's fun, and it's, it's something that people it's a book you want to have on your shelf, just because it's so fun. And you've encouraged people to take pictures of it. And show us your cover. Show us your cover.
So the cover was done by graphic designer Dominique Dragoon, who I adore. It's another part of the process is finding someone who's going to design your book cover. She always listened to everything I said. And it's funny, kind of, let me show it to you. Here it is. It always comes out, backwards. But
No, I
see,
can read it. On your
Oh,
end, it looks backwards, but we can see it perfectly clear.
wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, it looks
So
good.
what ended up happening is I wanted to indicate how it was a mystery. How do we make it mysterious? So that was the first thing. And of course, you have to put those eyes because it's, this young mom and she's involved in this mystery, this murder that happened. So you see her eyes and she's observing, and it's kind of very ominous and mysterious. And then you have, this is the actual Hika Castle, where the culmination of all of their investigation, her, Hope Klein, and Nathan Friedman, they end up here. This is the culminating part, which I don't want to add too much. And basically, the tagline is "Good intentions aren't always what they seem." And as you read, you'll see how this tagline comes in. I like to call this a luxury cozy mystery because it is very similar to Agatha Christie's Miss Marple, where she lives in a community in a little village, and an English village town, a small town, and she knows everybody. Well, Hope Klein gets to know all her neighbors, and so do you. You get to know all her neighbors, and what ends up happening is she befriends this elderly Holocaust survivor who's named Nathan Freeman, who the two of them start to team up together, and they investigate this mystery. And so it's just so fun. So what happened was, when I started to figure out how to market it, how I'm going to get it out there, and we are on Instagram and we're on, Facebook, the best way I felt to do it was to play with the eyes. And I started seeing book cover, they call them book face covers. And readers will try to incorporate the book into their book face.
Yes.
So I'll show you. We go, did I get it right? I can't see it.
You know what it is, since your laptop or whatever you're on is kind of like on an angle.
You can't see it?
It's not working. We don't get the full effect like on your Instagram page.
All right, yeah, let them go to my Instagram page to see it, but you get the idea in a way.
Yeah. Let me see. I have a copy too. Let me see. I'm never successful with it, but how's mine?
Maybe that's better. Working? Oh, let's see. Yeah, yours works nice. Yeah.
Mine works. Okay, good, because I can never get it right. I always wanted to do posts.
To see, but they get the idea that you make it where it looks like. And again, they'll be curious. You'll be curious, readers. You'll go and see and check out, my Instagram page. She'll put it down. You'll put it down in the comments, and you'll check out, see some of the readers did fantastic jobs on this. They really did.
Yeah, I love the pictures.
Yes, and it was so much fun. I got such a great response to this that I actually went as far as South Africa, went into England.
Wow.
And then I did it went across to 30 different states already, that they physically sent me a copy of them doing I call it the Perfect Move Challenge. And it's just so much fun. And they were, and they gave me words of encouragement, how they enjoyed the book. And the other thing that I thought was great was that as a writer, I was so pleased that so many, I don't think there was anyone who said, I figured it out. So I challenge you readers, if you were to read it, I don't think you'll figure out who did it. I like to call it a why done it. It's like a who done it, but it's also a why done it. And I challenge you, because I really think that it is a very surprise ending. There's a lot of twists, and like I said,
definitely not predictable. That's for sure. The most avid reader would have a hard time guessing, which is great, because that's the kind of book you want to write. You don't want readers to go right away, read the book and then say, oh, I know who did it. Like, sometimes immediately who committed the crime, or what's even if it's not a murder mystery, what's going to happen. It's so predictable. This book, this story is definitely not predictable. That is for sure.
I was very, very pleased that a lot of the people were very, very surprised and felt that they didn't see it coming. So that was very, I was very.
So that's great. You definitely did your job as an author. You definitely did your job as a writer. So kudos to you on that. Now let me ask you this: as far as your book designer goes,
yes,
was that the first book designer that you had reached out to, or were there others and they just didn't hit the mark?
She was the one that I had researched. I wanted somebody that what you do is I went and did an internet search. I did ask for recommendations, and I had a friend who recommended somebody, but hers was out of the country. And I didn't want someone out of the country because I felt like I could be very hands-on, and I'm constantly need to fix something, tweak here, tweak there. And
Right.
so I wanted someone I can get in touch with. She's out of California, Dominique, and she was so patient with me. So the way I picked her was on her website. You go on their website and you see the types of books, the types of covers they made. And so I
Right.
liked her style. I liked her creativity. And so I said, let me see if she would take me on. And I was very lucky because most of these graphic designers, they're booked months in advance. So
Yes.
you really do need to contact them earlier. So let's say you know that you're going to be done with your fine tuning of your book in 3 months. Now
Right.
that's the time to contact them. Don't contact them when you're finished and ready to go, because a lot of them are booked out.
Right.
The other
Right.
thing I would like to add also was that this book cover did win Book of the Week, which was very exciting, one of the competitions.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
that was that was very exciting. Well, book cover of the week, and that was really nice. And that made me feel very good.
Definitely. I
And
love, like
go
I
ahead.
said, that to me, that's my top for 2021. That to me, hands down, is the best
Thank
book
you so
cover.
much. Yeah,
I
was
find it
thinking-
fun. I find
Yeah,
it
she was-
fun. And
Yeah,
I'm
and
a
she-
serious.
Yeah, she was terrific. And if you look here, this is one of the bookmarks we made. I don't know if you can see it.
Now,
You
hold
see
it a
the
little
young-
closer. Hold it a little closer.
Can you see a little bit?
Yeah.
I don't- Okay. You
Yep.
see the lady running? That was one of the other covers we were thinking about. We were thinking of having the lady running
Oh, wow.
on the cover. So I like that one very much. The
Yeah.
one I put was the one that won, but I decided I put that as the book cover. And then on the back, I have the eyes. And again,
Oh my
Wow.
God, I see. I love that. That
And
is
what I
so
love-
fun. So even the bookmark is fun.
even the bookmark's fun, but what's funny with the bookmark is that it will go when you're reading. I don't know if you can see it, but when you're reading, it's as though the eyes are guiding you as
Oh,
you're reading.
yes.
You know, like they call it a line holder. So the eyes are
Yes.
watching as you're reading the book. So
It's
this
like reading it
bookmark,
with you.
yeah, this bookmark is perfect for this time of the year, the Halloween season, you know, it's very ominous.
Yes.
So if any of your readers decide that they want it, I'm more than willing to, if they DM me or they DM you with their address, I will send them a few.
Oh,
Put them in the mail to them if they would want it. So
Yes.
that's a shout out if they decide they want the book cover. You know, it's perfect. Like I said, you could always keep it, you know, as a book for any of the books you read. It doesn't have to be my book, because it's just so cool how the eyes help you to keep your place in the book.
Yes. And that's fun
Yeah.
too, to take pictures and post. That's content
Yeah.
for some people, right?
Yeah, you got to constantly think of things. Another thing that I also thought of, you know, we're talking about marketing. So we have the book cover that I did the Perfect Mood Challenge. I will shout out to my Stefanie girl. She's the one who told me about the bookmarks. She kept saying, Alisa, have bookmarks, have bookmarks. And I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do these bookmarks. And I was with Stefanie once, and she right away, you know, we were talking with these lovely women, and she said, we were talking about our books, and they asked us, and right away she had in her pocketbook, she had these bookmarks. And you know what? It was great, because even after you talk with them, they still had something else that they can keep to say, to remember and say, all right, you know, oh, maybe I will go get that book now, you know. So it's definitely, it was definitely great. So that was wonderful. So I did do that. And the other thing I did, I also can offer people, is a book club kit. And even if you don't have a book club and you're just your single person reading, I have recipes, because everyone knows in a good cozy book, a good coziness brief always has recipes. Usually it's cupcakes and things like that. Mine are matzo ball soup and stuffed cabbage and some other interesting.
Oh, I love it. And how fun is that to try it out and actually eat something that is discussed in the book?
Yeah, so that I have the kit has the recipes in it, has a cocktail recipe.
You get the full feeling. Yeah.
And yeah, so it's perfect for this warm time, this cozy time of year. And then it has, of course, discussion questions. And then because this book is jam-packed with a lot of factual information with sports and the castle and Huntington's disease and Holocaust. I have fun facts about that in there as well.
Right.
So there's a lot there too. So if you DM either Stefanie or myself, I can always send you, or you go on my website. I'll have a link tree. Maybe I'll give it to you, Stefanie.
We'll add it to the comments after the interview.
Comments.
Put it in the comments, and then I can always share it also. And I definitely want one of those bookmarks.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you.
I have the book.
I have to
I
see
want,
you. I gotta see you. We gotta get together. We have to get that
yes,
scheduled.
definitely.
And so I have that as well. And it's definitely been a lot of fun creating all of this marketing tools to help the readers to enjoy the book even more and just to get to know.
Yes, I love
Yeah.
it. It all comes full circle. And now let me ask you this too, because you did mention, and I know because I read it, football is discussed in your book.
Say that
So
again.
football,
Oh, football.
like
Yes. Are we ready
football
for
is discussed in your
football?
book, and
That's another thing.
that's
Yeah.
also a fall autumn thing. That's the
Yeah,
season,
football
right?
season is
For
big.
football.
Yes.
So this
Yes.
is
Oh,
football
yes.
season. So let me ask you this. Did you
Yes.
start was there any chance that you started writing your book in the fall or no?
Oh,
I
that's
guess
a
it
good question.
overlapped, or how did that work?
You know what? Football just is another thing that I just adore. I watched it when I was younger with my father. We loved the Cowboys back then. And then I watched it growing up with my younger son. He just loves it. My husband likes it. And so, I mean, we're struggling Jet fans now because we like the Jets there. But I still love my Packers. And now that we moved to Florida, I love my Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know, you got that Tom Brady. So I'm enjoying it, and I felt like it was something that I helped me with what I wanted to get across in the book. It was, again, there was a theme I was putting in the book in regards as a medical theme that runs through as well. And with the football, it worked in explaining something, and so that was something that I included. Also, this was funny, part of the charm of the book, and I think you had mentioned it too, that was interesting, was I don't use the names of the football teams. I don't like to use the real names. So I changed the names, and I kind of did like, so instead of it being the Miami Dolphins, you got the Miami Manatees. And I think I told you this happened to me. I wanted to do the Pittsburgh team, and it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so when I wrote the book, this is funny, I wrote down the Pittsburgh Robbers. And my son read the draft, and he says, "Mommy, why are you calling them robbers?" I go, "Because I want to call it like the Pittsburgh Steelers." And he goes, "No, because it's steel miners." So I go, "Oh my God," I felt terrible. Like, how silly am I? So I ended up changing it to the Pittsburgh coal miners, so it's just so funny, like these innocent things. But read the book, because it's funny, because you get to try to figure out, like, who am I talking about? It's the New York Titans. So obviously you'll know the Titans were, the Jets back one in the day. But it is fun to read it and see, like, oh, what did she call this team? What did she call that team? So, I try to add a little humor, a little fun to it as well. And I do have some serious topics, also, because I want some learning to be done. I always feel that if you're going to spend time reading a book, anybody's book, that you should learn something from it as well. You should enjoy and get pleasure out of it, but you should also have something to take with you. And so, especially when you go to your little cocktail party. So I have a lot of fun tidbits in there that, like I call a cocktail conversation,
Right. I like that.
Yeah. So that's something I did as well. Yeah.
I like all of the things that you just mentioned. That's more creativity. There's so much more to writing a book than just writing it. There's other things that you interject, that you throw in there. And the fact that you want someone, the reader, to take something away with that, and that stays with them, that sticks with them, that's also very good, because you want people to remember your story. You want people to remember the book. And I think this is a perfect time of year also for people to read your book, since it is autumn, since it is, or as I call it, the fall, because with football and everything like that, so you really get a feel for it. And I love these book chats, because I think for readers to get to meet the author and hear what the author has to say about their story, their book, or their books, and the process when they wrote it, opens up a whole other world for them. And they can read it in such a totally different way. And you also sometimes get the voice of the author, because I feel like a lot of the main character, Hope, right? I feel like you put some, maybe not all of yourself, but you put some of yourself into Hope. So I think that's great, because when I read the book, and as I read the book, and then certain things, because we met, and then certain things, I heard, even though I read it, but I heard it in your voice, or you know what I mean? So it really turns the whole reading experience into something even funner, new and fun.
Yeah, I think, and now could you say the same about yourself? Do you think that there's a little bit of you in your main character? I think
Well,
so, a little
there's
bit.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of me in my main
Right.
character. And you know what's so funny? One author that from social that I know from social media, she said, I write I write the way I talk. So I mean, I try to write real characters the way they really speak. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because sometimes
Yes.
I read books and the dialogue is like so formal or so correct, so, grammarly correct or dialect correct. And that's not really the way people speak. That's not the way people from New York, right? New York
Do you
speak.
think we
And
have an accent? Do you think we speak differently than others?
so
How dare you?
you know what I mean? And then when your book is set like yours on Long Island, you want that Long Islander to come through, right?
Yeah.
And it does. It
Yeah.
does. But yeah, so I didn't know if it was an insult or a compliment when she said, "Oh, you write how you speak, or you write how
Right,
you
I
talk."
speak.
But I took that as a compliment.
Especially if you're trying to create the character to be true to the Long Island or to the feel that you're looking for. If you're looking for it to be that way, definitely.
Right.
That's what brings me to where you have to be very careful with who you hire as your editor, because if you're looking to do that and they're
Yes.
correcting that, then that's a problem. So you really have to communicate very strongly at the onset with an editor that when you see something in a dialogue that may not be grammar correct, please speak with me because that may be the way I want to leave it, and then you
Right.
still have to be careful with an editor because you really want to make sure that they edit your book fully. I mean, everyone misses some things, but sometimes it doesn't work out. So I do say be cautious when you're with an editor. And another thing I will say is I recommend for everyone who's doing a book, editing it, you read it out loud. Either I wouldn't have yourself do, but have somebody
That's
else read
such a
it.
big help. Yes. And
Reading
my
out loud.
laptop reads it back to me. I don't use that
Oh,
anymore.
that's interesting. Oh, tell us more about that. That sounds interesting. That it reads it back to you.
Well, I don't know. I guess it's the program that I have in Office 365. I don't know. And when I sit down to work,
Right.
I have something that says read aloud. So and I could choose a female voice or a male voice. I may even be able to choose an accent, like an English accent. I don't know. I never really, looked into it that deep.
Right.
But I have chose read aloud, and I have chose it in a woman's voice. It is it sounds like a computer.
Right. No, but I think it's good for
It
picking
really,
up.
really helps if you
Yeah.
just let the computer read it, and you don't even have to follow it along on the screen. I mean, you can, but you can also like close your eyes and listen to it.
Right.
But yeah, that might have went along with my Office 365. We asked for a program for writing, to help writing books.
Right.
And I also have something, it'll tell me, like if I type in a word, say the word so or the word the, it'll tell me how many times I use that word.
Right. Yes,
And
that's
it'll
good.
bring up, it'll highlight all the words. And then if I say to myself, hey, I think I used that phrase before, I could type in a phrase, I could type in a sentence, and it'll show me the results, where in the book it is, and it'll
Right.
show me the sentence off to the side. And I find that to be very useful.
Well, I think you raised a few valid points there. One is it's very important to, like you said, put the word so in. Any word that you think you might have used too often, and you check that way, because you should then change it. Because sometimes you don't even realize you use I think I use the word maybe actually a lot. I think there's one of these words that I always use, and you had so that's a great way of checking it. And then the computer will spot where it is, so you'll be able to change it out. So that's a great, great tool. I love the tool about reading out loud, because as you listen, even if you when you're coming back, a lot of us hit writer's block. So it might be nice that when you go back the next day, let's say you're not really sure what you want to write, so you go over a chapter and you listen to it, and that might spark something, and then you're also editing and correcting it. So it's like two for the price of one.
And sometimes your eyes hurt. Like you read you read so much that you can't really look at the computer screen anymore, or it like starts to like your brain starts to
Yeah,
fizz, like it
yeah,
just gets
yeah.
to be too much. So sometimes you just don't want to look at the screen, but you want to know what you wrote,
Right,
and you let the
right.
computer read it back to you. And it's such, I think it's a great tool. It's
No, I
really
think it's
great. I
fantastic.
encourage everybody to get that if they can.
Yeah, because you can catch mistakes. And like you said, sometimes you can't just look at the screen anymore. And sometimes just looking at it, you already see what you want to see. And so you may not even spot it,
Yes, that's
because
happened to me many times.
yeah, it's human nature. If you might miss the and because you think it's in there because it flows where it should say and, but it really
Yes.
isn't there. But when you're listening, you hear it. So I
Yeah.
think it's great. I
And
think that's a great advice.
it's funny how your eyes can trick you, or your brain tricks you to read something that's
Yeah,
actually not there.
yeah.
It's telling you, you know, that that word belongs in there, like Alisa and
And
Linda, and you
Nathan,
think the word and is in there because your brain is reading it
right,
that way,
right,
but that word
right,
and is not in there, and it really says
right.
Alisa Linda instead of
Yes.
Alisa and Linda.
Right. Oh
It's
yeah. Oh
it's
yeah. Oh well, there was
fascinating.
one, and I always have. I would definitely say, you can have family and friends read it, but it's definitely recommended by me, and I think you would agree, Stephanie, is to have strangers read it, people that aren't
Yes.
vested in you, because then you can really, so they'll spot the holes, they'll spot things, and I think that sometimes they may be a little more apt to telling you what they feel is not working in the book. So I
Yes.
think you can definitely have family do it, but I think you also need to have some outsiders. And those are called arcs you would be creating, or you could just have beta readers where you don't even necessarily
Yes.
have to have it, set up yet. But I
People
definitely,
that don't know you. And you know
right,
what the great thing about that is too, that if you're not in a rush, I mean, I was so anxious to get my 2 books out that I didn't send it off to, beta readers or ARC readers. I just wanted to get it out. But I recommend it if you have reliable and trustworthy people that are actually going to do the task that you're asking them to do, and they're not going to, because you also got to be careful with people stealing your work. You got to be
right,
careful. I mean, there's so many things you got to worry about, especially when you're an independent author. So you
right,
have to
yeah.
worry about that. But another bonus of getting beta readers or giving out advanced reader copies are reviews. If you
Oh,
can get a
yeah,
jump
so much,
start, I know we
yeah.
got so much to talk about and
Yeah,
we're running out of time, but
yeah,
if you
we're
can
running
get a
out,
jump
but I
start,
will say this, if the readers or people who are watching, if you reach out to Stephanie and say, you know what, me and you are talking about things that they're really interested in, because there are topics we didn't get to, like you're saying, like getting reviews. Where do you put these reviews? Amazon, Goodreads, Redzy,
yes,
BookPub. There's so many other things like that we can share with you. We only have the hour right now, but if you feel that anyone feels that they want us to continue, let us know, and what area you want, we can focus on it, because
yes.
you're right. You tapped into now reviews, and go ahead. What were you going to say about that? Because you're right. That's the next thing that you need also to help your book.
Reviews are
Sure.
one of the hardest things to get, and it's what all of us writers want. So the best thing for that is when you do send out advanced reader copies, or you do have beta readers, hopefully you can count on them to write reviews before your book is even released. You know what I mean? Or you get
Yeah,
like
but then
you
that
get a
gets
jump start on
yes.
those
No,
reviews.
because you're right in the sense that you have them that they can write it, but like if you're going to be on Amazon, Amazon won't let you put these reviews on until the book is out. So
Yes. So for Amazon, that
that's
won't work for
really
Amazon.
difficult.
But
That's why we
Amazon
got
already has like some restrictions also, like you have to
right,
spend a certain amount of money and you can't be on have
right,
the same IP address. So they
right.
have a lot of
There's
restrictions, but
right. That's another thing.
there's plenty
But
of other places
as an
to leave
indie,
reviews.
yeah,
So I really
well,
encourage people to do that. If you have a beta reader or ARC readers, ask them to write up a review of your book, because
yeah.
that's a great way to start. And I have so much, I mean, we're running out of time, but there's even so much we could talk about editing, how not every editor is for every person. I usually mention this every time I have a book chat with somebody. You really got to send out those samples. You and I discussed it too. You have to send out samples, and because not everybody, somebody could be this wonderful, wonderful editor, but they may not be the right editor for you for some reason. And when you're a writer, we all have a personality, and it comes out in our stories a lot of times too. but not all personalities mesh, and not all people can work together, and not everyone is going to have your vision when it comes to your work. And it's not an insult to anyone, but not the shoe does not always fit. It's
Right.
not a one size fits all situation. And some editors take liberties of changing your entire work, because that happened to me with the sample I sent out. Somebody
Wow.
just changed, like, it was like they rewrote the 10 pages that I sent them. And I'm like, I'm not looking for a rewrite.
You're not
I'm
into a
looking for
ghostwriter.
an editor. So I think they got that confused. And some people say they're editors and they're really not. So writer beware. That's
No, there is.
something else
Exactly.
that you have to beware. But we are running out of time. So let us know where we can find. I know you're going to share your links, but let us know where we can find you and where we can grab copies of your book.
Yes. All right. So basically, copies of my book are available on Amazon, on noble.com, on Apple, on mostly any of your social media or internet marketplaces. I can be reached I have a Facebook. I'm at Alisa Klinger, so my name, on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm on Follow My Writing Journey. And what I'll do is I'm going to put in the links, it's a link tree, and it has a link to my website, a link to my all my social media pages. And I think I might have linked some of my previous interviews or that I've had as well on there. I think I have my YouTube channel has a few of my interviews and things of that nature. So it's a whole link tree that you can click on that has links to where you can get the book and where you can find me. And I'd love for you to follow me and my journey.
Yes, and I encourage people to especially check out your Instagram page, because you have all of those
the
fun pictures of people holding up your book cover, and your challenges and stuff with the bookmarks. So really, that's,
I want to thank
and
you
the
for
dogs.
having
Oh
me.
my God, and the dogs. What a fun! You have a really fun page. So an interactive page. So I really hope people hop on just to check it out and give you a follow.
Yeah, I just put the girls up today. I wrote a thing about being positive, and they're positive vibes. They're adorable. My sweet girls. Yeah, the Boston Terriers. Let's see. We'll leave on that note. Let's see if I have a picture of my girls. Okay, let's see. Here they are. Let's see. Can you see them? My baby. There they are.
Yes. Oh my God. See, guys, look, all of you blog lovers, you don't want to miss that. Alisa has some beautiful and funny posts.
Yeah, we did some
girls
captions. They're caption challenges to help you with your writing.
Yes, yes. And they're fun. And they're fun. I know I participated in a couple. I don't think any of mine, well, I think I only participated in 2, but none of mine were picked. But that's okay. That makes me work harder. That makes it more of a challenge.
I had such a good time. I always love talking with Stefanie. Her husband always says is that we can never separate. We never can talk to the topic of talking, because we love to talk with each other.
Once
so
we get together,
to get off right now, right?
We talk nonstop. It's so true. We're supposed to be playing pickleball. We do not shut the heck up.
I know.
But it's
Thank
great.
God our husbands like to play, so we can just
yes. And I'm so glad we got to talk today, because we haven't talked in a while. It feels like forever, but I'm so glad we talked today. Thank you so much for joining me today. I want you to enjoy the rest of your day, and everybody, I want you to check out Alisa Klinger, check out her post, check out her book. Believe me, you will not be disappointed. And what a wonderful personality. So you can tell just from this book chat right here, you really want to follow Alisa. She's great. And she's just so fun and engaging and entertaining. Alisa, you have a great rest of your day. Save me a bookmark.
Bye, everyone. All right, thanks for having me.
All right, bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Bookmark.
Yes, save me a bookmark. All right, bye, guys. Bye, Alisa.
Bye-bye.